Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Seri Qaliesa binti Abdul Kadir Jailani. My matric card number is 2019274992. As for today, our group will present question number 7.
My name is Muhammad NIZAM RUSLAN. My matric number is 2019247942.
My name is Muhammad RASYID FAHLID and my matrix number is 2019444884.
My name is Muhammad MUSLIHUDDin bin Muhammad Noor. My matrix number is 2019276392.
What is picketing? First of all, picketing is a person or group of people who stand outside a workplace or other venue as a protest, or to try to persuade others not to enter during a strike. It seems like a protest, but it is not, even there is a similarity between those two. To be more clear, protest is to make a strong objection, while picketing is to protest organized by a labor union, typically in front of the location of employment. A picket can take place anywhere that the public has access to. Furthermore, picketing may be prohibited as unfair labor practice, or a firm may obtain an injunction to prevent irreparable harm because of picketing. Next, for better understanding about picketing, there are two types, and for the first one called primary picketing, and the second one is secondary picketing. Primary picket was intended to put pressure on the top management and top management of the company by doing picketing in front of the business that is directly involved in the deed. Meanwhile, for the secondary picketing, take place at a workplace owned by a different company. In other meaning, picketing occurs at a place other than an employer's place of business. Aside from that, let's take a look at an article by Industry or Global stated on the 7th of March in the year of 2020 with the help of a one-day picket organized by the Electronics Industry Employees Union Northern Region. Infineon Technologies Sendirian Berhad was driven back to the negotiating table to resume negotiation for a collective agreement. For example of picketing in Malaysia is when Utusan Melayu Berhad fail to pay their employee salary. As a result, at least 100 employees stand in front of the daily mainly office and start to demonstrate and asking for their salary to be paid.
I will explain to you guys about trade union. The definition of trade union is based on Section 2 under Trade Unions Act 1959. Trade union or union means any association or combination of workmen or employers, being workmen whose place of works is in West Malaysia, Sabah or Sarawak as the case may be, or employees employing workmen in Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah or Sarawak. A trade union is a group of workers and employers who work temporarily or permanently in a trade, occupation or industry to achieve a legitimate goal. In Malaysia has three groups of unions, namely the public sector, the private sector and employees union. Trade union are also known as workers union, labor union, aim to select employees to enter a process referred to as the collective bargaining process to negotiate with employers. There are three types of union in Malaysia, which is public sector employees union, private sector employees union and employees union. Under trade union, it also explains about the power of DGTU, which means the power of Director General of Trade Unions. The DGTU has great powers over registration, deregistration and any other matter related to trade unions. They are also follows registration Trade Union Authority 1959 authorized the DGTU regarding the registration of trade union as follows: to register trade union in prescribed manner. It may refuse to register a trade union if he is satisfied that there exists or already exists a trade union representing workers in the particular trade, occupation, industry or organization and it is not in the interest of the worker concerned that there are other trade unions in respect of it. Other than that, the Registration Trade Union Authority 1959 also empowers the DGTU to revoke or withdraw a trade union registration certificate, to revoke or revoke a registration upon request by a trade union. There are several reasons for cancellation of trade union registration. For example, if he is satisfied that the certificate was issued through fraud, deception, trickery, or mistake. Any one objective or rule of a trade union is illegal. Next, for funds and accounts, the Trade Unions Authority Act of 1959 gives the Director General of Trade Unions the authority to guarantee that the trade unions' funds are used exclusively for approved goal. This is done in order to guarantee that the funds are not misappropriated by the party. For the memberships, workers in Malaysia have the right to form and join trade unions. This is known as freedom of association, and that right is protected in the Industrial Relations Act 1967 under Section 5. The Act states that no employer can prevent an employee for joining a trade union by placing conditions in his or her employment contract. Not only that, but it states that employer can do not pay any employee's salary on the grounds that he or she is a member or official of a trade union. For the last power of the DGTU is executive or office or employees of trade unions, which means after the rules of the unions are accepted by the members, the officer may be elected according to the rules. They must be elected by secret ballot. Union rules must ensure that each member has the same right and reasonable opportunities to record his or her vote independently, and that the secrecy of the vote is properly guaranteed.
What is picketing? Picketing can be viewed as a step down from striking. Picketing is usually done after work hours and in a location other than the employee's workplace. Picketing is typically used to persuade other employees to take a day off from work. Picketing is done in a peaceful manner rather than in an intimidating manner that prevents employees from entering their workplace. Picketing and going on strike are two distinct types of conflict. A protected strike is required for a valid strike. The majority of the time, employees picket at their own workplace in support of their own company's strike against them. Employees who picket at their own workplace in support of a strike involving the employees of another employer do occur on occasion. However, in order for the trade union to conduct picketing activities, both of the organizer and the picketing participant must adhere to the trade union's condition and obligation. As a result, when conducting a picket, the trade union must be aware of the code of conduct or guidelines. The first requirement that a trade union must follow while holding a picket is that it must be peaceful and not threaten other employees or the public. Section 17 of the Constitution protects assembly, picketing and petitioning. Using the constitutional right must be peaceful and non-violent. Under the Section 69, Section 5D of the Act, the Commission must consider the principle while drafting picketing rules. Although it may not apply to all pickets and demonstrations, it is a good rule of thumb. It only applies to pickets organized in accordance with Section 69. The picket must be authorized by a recognized labor organization, among other requirements. The picket may consist of solely union members and sympathizers. The picket must also be non-violent in support of a protected strike or against a lockout. According to the final component, pickets may only be held in a public place outside the employee's premises or inside the employee's premises with permission. A picket can only be organized by a registered trade union according to the second criteria. That is, a picket must be authorized by a resolution or by a trade union representative. An official written authorization is required. Before the picket, the employee should be provided with the resolution and, if necessary, a legal permit. According to the union's constitution, authorization must be granted. Non-striking workers and members of the public are encouraged to join the picket to oppose a lockout or aid strikers in a safe strike. The meaning of that varies. It may be to dissuade workers from working during a strike. It may be to dissuade replacement labour. It can also be a protected strike to discourage the public or other employees from doing business with the employer. The act of preparing for or promoting a strike is included in the definition of secondary strike. A picket is an activity conducted to support or anticipate a strike. In other terms, a picket line is a strike precursor. Thirdly, a picket in support of an unprotected strike is not protected by law. Before starting a strike or picket line, the union and the employer should agree on picketing guidelines. A collective bargaining agreement may ban picketing. When drafting a contract, take in mind the following points that are vital to the employee's authorization: date, time, place, and scope of the picket, as well as correspondence between marshals and employers, as well as any other parties engaged. Picketing for non-picketing purposes, such as access to restrooms and phones, and picketing on the employer's property. 4. The only other need for a picket is that the registered trade union nominate a convener to monitor it. The convener must be a union member or officer. That person should always have copies of the act, the guidelines, any collective agreements or picket rules, and the resolution. The picket must also be authorized by the registered trade union. Certain documents are available upon request to encourage participants in the picket to comply with the law. These documents can help the employer, the public, and the police determine the picket's legality and safety. Lastly, informed employees, responsible individuals, and police must be notified of planned pickets. The notification should include a declaration that the picket is legal, the name, address, and phone number of the trade union and the convener, the date the picket began, and the 21 picket location, including the employer being picketed. Instead, picket marshals should be appointed by the registered trade union and provided with the convener's trade unions and picket marshals' phone numbers. Marshals should identify themselves by wearing armbands. Marshals should inform the trade union about the regulation, any agreed picketing rules, or in the absence of any agreed rules. The picket may take place in any public area, but it must not violate other civil rights. Picketers must be peaceful, unarmed, and legal. They may hold placards, sing, and dance. Picketers may not physically prevent clients, other employees, or service providers from entering or exiting employees' facilities. Also, any criminal activity, including but not limited to aggressive conduct, should be committed.
Now we reach to the end of our presentation. So to keep it short, picket is a kind of protest made by a group of people around the workplace, which mean they gather around their workplace and show their dissatisfaction. To do this, there are some conditions that need to be followed, as we said before. The picket can be simply done, and there is rule and law in doing it. Picketing are aiming to persuade not to do the work or business with the employer. And also, this picket is usually an act following the strike. Picket and strike may seem similar in some way, but the main difference between it is strike is for stopping the work, while picket is for preventing others from going to work by assembling outside the workplace. The condition that been set to follow is to avoid unwanted interference from others. The picket must not be done in the manner of intimidation, obstruction to the approach to the place of work or the exit, and breach of peace. Any contravention of this an offence under the IRA, punishable by imprisonment of maximum 1 year, imprisonment term, or a maximum fine of RM1000 or both. Thus, it is important to follow the rule and condition that been set, and the trade union need to be knowledgeable in the conducting picket activities to ensure that the conditions are eligible to conduct picket for the sake of the workers.